G will make its hard sound almost always where that back of the tongue kicks off against the back of the throat. G, g, like glitter or grass, gander. Okay, but if there is an E, I, or Y after it, then that G makes its soft sound and sounds like a J. So the hard sound sounds hard because you have that clash that's happening with the stop and flow of air. G, g. The soft sound sounds soft. It sounds, it's just a softer sound. J, j, right? Like giraffe or gem or gym. There's the E, I, and Y on each of those. Okay, so today we're going to focus on spelling the hard and soft sounds of G. It's mostly going to be GE today. So you might be wondering, is it ever going to be JE? Yes, but rarely. JE is very rare, as in jelly. It's almost always going to be gentleman. I mean, GE. So if you have to guess GE. It is 99% more common than JE. G, tongue twister. GI and GY can say the exact same thing. Like, I'm getting the gist of it versus Jim. They both sound like J, right? That's because that Y, that medial Y, acts as an I. So in your spelling, it's hard to know if it's going to be an I or a Y. It's hard to know, period. The Y's are going to be Greek words, so you would have to know kind of, is it kind of an academic or a foreign sounding word? Then it's going to be a Y. But to prevent that confusion in this lesson, we're going to be working with GEs a lot. So you're not going to have any J's in this lesson. It's always going to be GE, and you're not going to ever have to wonder if it's an I or a Y. If we do have one of those, I'll tell you, or you can spell it either way and it will be correct. Sound good? All right, let me share my screen. And let's start spelling. So our first word together, I have a lot of things that I could teach you right now. Let me think of what I want to. Okay, I'm going to save. I'm going to talk about this in the next one. So in this first word, our word together is glotho. Glotho. So we have sounds g, l, a, f, o. Consonants g, l, a, f, o. Now we do our vowels. Ah, the most common spelling is O. We start there. Can this O say ah in this spot? No. Short vowels like ah require two consonants after them. If there's not two, make two. Now we can say ah in this spot. O at the end is often spelled with just a single O. Glotho. Your word? Clomo. Why did I do that, not a G? Glomo. So it's going to be very similar, but glomo. G-O-A-M-O. Glomo. And then go ahead and put it in the Q&A. Glomo. Yeah. So how many M's are in it? If that's a short O at the beginning. So our consonants are G, O, A, M, O. So our vowels, A, in order for that to make it short sound, it needs two consonants after it. So if there's not two, we make two. O at the end is often a single O. There's glomo. Yeah, good. Okay, now for this word, it's going to end with the sound C. When you hear a word that ends with C, the sound C, you're almost always going to spell it with a CY. You'll notice that this C is making it soft sound because of that E, I, or Y that comes after it. Some real world examples. We have fancy. If you know some, throw them in the Q&A. Bouncy. C. Thank you. Nancy. So when you hear C at the end of a multi-syllable word, so it can't be the only syllable like C, it has to be more than one vowel that don't touch, you're almost always going to spell it with a CY at the end, like that. That says C, okay? So knowing that now, our word together is glepsy, glepsy. So we have G, O, E, P, S, E. Consonants. G, O, E, P, S. I'm tempted to write an S, but I know that C at the end of a multi-syllable word is spelled C-Y. Now all we have is that there, which is perfectly fine, making its short sound because of those two consonants after it. This C is making its soft sound because there's an E, I, or Y after it. And a Y at the end of a longer word is, the E sound at the end of a longer word is spelled with a Y most of the time. Okay, so your word is Grancy. Grancy. G-R-A-N-C-Y. Grancy. Go ahead and throw it in the Q&A when you're done. Grancy. Good, Anne-Marie. Nice, Rowan. Good, Rowan. Let me say it better. So my tongue is at the top of my mouth and it's staying there, and then it's going straight to the S. Grancy. I'm not forming a D sound. Grancy. Grancy. Yeah, good. All right, so consonants are G, R, A, N. C at the end of a multi-syllable word is CY. This A can spell the A sound right here just fine because of those two consonants after it. Now almost everybody got that correct, so we're going to go a little bit. Let's kick it up a notch. All right, let's try the word let's do G-lisco. G-lisco. So we have J, E, O, I, S, K, O together. G. I can hear, I might be tempted before you came to this class, you might be tempted to spell G like this, but now you know that this is rare, extremely rare to have a GE. It's almost always going to be to have a JE. It's almost always going to be GE. So, because that's an E, this can say J just fine. G-lisco. J, E, O, I, S, K, O. We always spell the K sound with a C until I teach you different, which is going to be in September. All right, so E. I'm going to start with the most common sound. Can this E say E here? It can, because of the tab 2 rule. There's a vowel 1 or 2 doors down, so it's going to say its name, E. G, li, I. We start with an I. Can I say I here? It's short sound? Yes, for 2 reasons. The tab 2 rule and I in the middle syllable gets to make it short sound regardless of how many consonants are after it. We learned that in I month if you're wondering where that came from. And then O at the end is often spelled with just a single O. G-lisco. Your word is J-Moscow. J-Moscow. J-I-M-O-S-C-O. J-Moscow. My mouth is closed in the middle. J-Moscow. J-Moscow. You can do it. You've got this. Knew you could do it. Jai Moscow. We're always going to spell the k sound with just a C. That looks like an E. Spell the k sound with just a single C until I teach you different. Jai Moscow. Jai, Jai, Ma, like olive. Jai Moscow. Uh-huh. Good. Yeah. All right, so our consonants, we have J, I. I know that that can be a G because I can hear that I after it. So it can make it soft sound and say J. J, I. M, A, S, K is usually spelled with a C. O. I. We start with an I. It's the only letter that can spell that sound, but can it make its long sound here? Yes, because of the type 2 rule. There's a vowel 1 or 2 doors down, so it can say its name. Ah, we start with the most common, single O. Can it say its short sound here? Yes, because of those 2 consonants. O at the end of a longer word, or any size word, is often spelled with a single O. Jai, Moscow. Okay, that was kind of a medium one, right? Let's see, let's try together. Jepestry, Jepestry. J, E, P, E, S, T, R, E. 3-syllable word, you can tell because there are 3 vowels that don't touch. Jepestry. So J can be spelled with a G right here because I can hear that there's an E, I, or Y after it, and it's very rarely going to be J-E. Almost always G-E. J, P, E, S, T, R, E. I want this to say Can it right now? Not yet. Is a short vowel. Short vowels need 2 consonants after them. If there's not 2, make 2. Now it can say its short sound and say Jepestry. This E can say right here just fine because of those 2 consonants. E at the end of a longer word is usually spelled with a Y. So there's Jepestry. Just for kicks, what would that word have said with only 1 P? If there was only 1 P, it would not say Jepestry anymore. It would say G-pestry. G-pestry because of the tap 2 rule. Long vowels have another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. So keep that in mind. I want your word to be Jeplantry. Pull. Jeplanty. Jeplanty. J, E, P, O, A, N, T, E. I'm gonna have to say that one a lot of times because the sounds are in tricky spots. Jeplanty. Plot, like plot. Planty. Jeplanty. Jeplanty. Nice. Good. Japlan. My mouth is open in the middle. Japlanty. Japlanty. Hard one, huh? All right, so we're going to start with our GE, right? It's almost never going to be a JE. Almost always going to be a GE. So because I can hear that after it, I know that that J can be spelled with a G, and almost always is. Japlanty. J, P, O, A, N, T, E. Can this E say here? Yes, because there are 2 consonants after it. Can this O say here? Sure, because of those 2 consonants. E at the end of a longer word is usually spelled with a Y. Japlanty. What would that word have said just for kicks without the P? So now this E can no longer say because of the tap 2 rule. There's a vowel 1 or 2 doors away. Would have to say E. So that word would say gelante. Gelante. Yeah? All right, my friends, let's try one more. 2 more. This one without me. Do glosstopic. Glosstopic. Go for it. G-O-S-T-I. No, glosstopic. G-O-S-T-O-P-I-C. Glosstopic. Glosstopic. Oh, let me teach you guys something real fast. Ick at the end of a longer word is almost always IC. I used to say always IC because it almost is so close to being always. I'm just going to say it. Ick at the end of a longer word is always IC. Longer word meaning multi-syllable. So glosstopic. Glosstopic. Glaw. All like olive, ostrich. On. Glosstopic. Good, red one. Glosstopic. Nice, Addison. All right. Consonants. G, O, A, S, T, O, P, I, K. There's that ick at the end of a longer word is always spelled IC. Ick at the end of a longer word is always IC. Pretty close to always. All right, so ah right here is a short O just fine because of those 2 consonants. O right here is spelled with an O just fine because of the tap 2 rule. So we have glaw. We always start with the most common spelling first. The most it could be A. A can say ah sometimes too, but we start with the most obvious, which is just single O. And then if it works, stop, you're done. You don't need an A. You don't need anything else because an O can say its short sound right here just perfectly fine. O because of the tap 2 rule. Ick because it's the end of a longer word. All right, let's end on a little bit of an easier one. Never easy though, right? Just maybe a touch easier. I want your word to be jeshy. Jeshy. J-E-S-H-E. I wonder if I'm the only person in the history of everything to ever say that. Jeshy. That would be fun. Jeshy. I highly doubt it. Good, Sarah. Jeshy. Nice. Yeah, see, you guys have got this. I love ending on a little bit of an easier one. Remember, we don't use a J-E. We're going to use a G-E. Almost always. Jeshy. Jeshy. Yeah. Jeshy. So, J, I can spell that with a G because the next sound is an E, and it's almost never J-E. It's almost always G-E. J-E-Sh-E. E is going to be spelled with an E right here just fine because of the tap 2 rule, and Y at the end spells the long E sound. Jeshy. Jeshy. 4 sounds in Jeshy. All right, so you learned both hard and soft C Monday and today. C and G, I mean. So remember, only C and G are allowed to be referred to as hard and soft. No other letters get to have that distinguishing characteristic. Vowels are long, short, schwa, nasal. Vowels have other descriptors. Vowels don't ever get to be long and short. Hard and soft, I mean. C and G are the only ones that get to be distinguished as hard and soft. Soft when there's an E, I, or Y after them. Okay? All right, my friends, you're amazing. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye, everybody.